Dr. Risner, we are in Virginia and we're talking about illusions and how illusions of reality and how there are people who say that reality is just an illusion. We cannot know reality. And we're trying to make an argument against this case in the fact that illusion needs a reality to distort. Illusion cannot exist without reality, and it's like evil in the sense that evil can't exist without the good. So, but we have there's a thing, try to talk about it again.
Discussion.
Yeah, discussion about isn't how something that does not exist can proclaim truth.
Yeah. Like a metaphor. Like a metaphor is, like when we create a metaphor, we're creating a form of truth, because if that metaphor is to convey truth, how did it go? That metaphor is true in the sense for what its purpose. Like for example, an illusion is true if we acknowledge the illusion for what it is. Like we'll talk about a mirage, with the heat waves and stuff. If we confuse that mirage and think it's a wow, and we go and drink from it, well then we've been deceived and we've confused that illusion with reality. But if we acknowledge that mirage is a mirage, an illusion, if we acknowledge that it's an illusion, well it's truth, because it's conveying that which it was intended to convey. So it's kind of like with a metaphor, like when Jesus talks about the parables are true because he creates them like in our imagination. Like we started off talking about movies, and like how movies can create a whole different world and yet convey truth that relates to our world.
And supposedly that this world does not exist, yet it can proclaim truths of our world.
Yeah.
Of course, we were the ones who created that movie, so we are automatically importing things into the movie which does not exist from a thing that exists. So that's kind of hard.
Yeah, so we're creating something which becomes truth.
Yes.
Because it's conveying that which
even
is
though
already
it's
true.
an illusion and it does not exist.
Does not exist.
So that's just what
and because we started off talking about metaphors, like for example, say a man who acts like a child all the time. Well, if someone says he's a child, he's childish, or he's a child, well then they're true. They're speaking truth because he acts like a child, but he's also a man. So in that sense, it's not true, but it's absolutely true when someone says he's a child.
Yeah.
But he's also a man.
It's absolutely true and not true at the same time. But maybe it's not true and true at the same time, but not in the same way. Because like Aristotle says, something cannot be both true, or A cannot be both the answer, or A cannot be both A and not A at the same time in the same sense. So maybe the man is a child and a man in, I don't know if it's the same sense or the same way, but one of the ways, if he is a child and a man in the same way, then he is not a child or a man in the same sense. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so here's our
rushing
question.
our brain right now.
So here's our question. Then what do so that guy's obviously more of a man than a child, because he's a man, but he's also a child. But then what if he acts like a child all the time, and he's more of a child than he is a man?
He's still a man.
He's still a man.
Yet he's childish.
Childish.
He's not a child, but he is, in a sense, a child.
Exactly, and that's the illusion. As long as we acknowledge illusions for what they are, then they are truth.
And that illusion exists.
That illusion exists. And so when people say life is an illusion, we must first say what an illusion is a privation of truth.
And a distortion of reality. And illusion cannot exist without a reality to distort. I think that's true. All right.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.